Hi guys, how are you? Welcome to this new video. Today is gonna be really interesting.
Hello? Put your head on my shoulder.
So basically in this video we're gonna be comparing these two really popular apps which have been really used recently for selling and buying some clothes. I'm a huge fan of both of them, Depop and Vinted. I'm gonna tell you some of the differences between the two apps, what's best buying or not buying on the two apps, and some of the advantages of getting one app instead of the other one. So let's get into it. So I have both Vinted and Depop, and actually the first one that I got was Depop because Vinted is a French app, and so it was only available in France. I actually could have got it way before because on Instagram I used to follow this French girl which was about to sell all of her clothes, but she couldn't sell them internationally because the app, which was Vinted, was only available in France. It's way more open, and I'm from Italy. I've actually seen some advertisements on the TV, so it's like officially available in Italy. So the reason why I got Depop first is that Vinted was not available, so I got Depop kind of recently, maybe like a year ago or something. I haven't sold many things on Depop, but I haven't on Vinted either. I actually just decided to order something from Vinted, and I've ordered multiple times from Depop, and I really found myself very well. But before we get into it, you might be wondering, well, why should I be buying stuff from Depop or Vinted if it's like secondhand things? Should I really free up some space on my phone to download one of these two apps, or maybe both? My answer is yes, and I'm gonna explain you why. So I don't know if you actually acknowledge that, but basically we are on a climate change. Yay! Maybe you didn't know that, but we actually are in a climate change. It's getting hotter, it's getting warmer, it's getting more and more dangerous for our health and for the health of the whole planet and of the animals. Many animals have been extinct during these past years, especially during the last 20 years. We basically live in a planet where in summer it can go to 46 degrees, as I was one time in Milan, and it was literally 46 degrees. It is not normal. Some time ago when it was like 30 degrees, it was the hottest ever, and now we go up to 50 degrees basically. Let me just remember that the humans cannot survive on 100 degrees, so we are like already on the half of the scale.
Yay!
This is the planet that we're living with, unfortunately. Therefore, we have to make some changes to make it better. So I know that many people would reply to this video saying, well, I cannot really do much because it's not really my business, because my government should do something, because I do not have the powers to make the most sustainable option that will actually change the world. But you actually do. So basically, if you support, when you buy things, some stores that aren't sustainable, that are not paying up their workers, that are not ethical, you are helping this whole climate change. So apart from like the ethical thing, which is obviously really important, but it's not really connected to the environmental thing. For example, Brandy Melville is a really trendy store, we all know them, but it's not an ethical store because they do the one size fits all, and so they're basically excluding people that do not fit into their clothes, which is also kind of stupid because if they just were a bit more size inclusive, they would have more clients. But instead they choose to put a bad mentality into girls and into buyers and to have less clients. So I don't really know what's going on. In the same way, if you choose to support some stores that produce their clothes with sustainable fabric or in a sustainable way, so it's like slow fashion and not fast fashion, you're helping these clothes to be less expensive, because usually fast fashion clothes are really cheap because many people are demanding from them, apart from the fact that they're basically produced with a really poor manufacturer that most of the time doesn't even get paid. When buying in fast fashion stores, you're basically supporting a whole industry where workers don't get paid, and you're also continuing to pollute. Let's take as an example Shein, which is an online store that I'm really against. What do you expect? Do you really think that workers are getting paid for a t-shirt that costs 5 euros? They're probably getting like 10 cents if they're lucky. Another problem with Shein or with all of these other stores that come from like China and Asia and all of that is that they come from these places which are usually very far from where we live or from where they're going to go. When airplanes go to one place to another, they produce CO2, which, as you know, is really bad for our environment. The more weight the airplane has, the more the CO2 produced, because they have to carry an extra weight. The plane is really really heavy. And then there is also what it's carrying. If you're buying things in thick packages, they're heavier, even more CO2. So to prevent fast fashion and all of that, you should first off buy less clothes. In this way you will avoid a waste of money. Second of all, a waste of clothes. And third, and maybe the most important one, pollution. Because when you don't want a piece of clothing and you don't want to donate it or sell it, which is really stupid because you can actually make a profit out of it, you would just throw it away. But throwing it away, you're throwing it into landfills. And landfills are basically these giant, enormous, incredibly big hills full of clothes, which is really scary. Simply to avoid all of that, you should first off buy less, because if you're buying less, you don't have all of the following problems. But if you're really into fashion, for example, as I am, there are some more sustainable options to buy things and clothes to actually have something a bit more unique. So there are some differences between the two apps, because basically since Depop was available before Vinted, it actually has the most of the international buyers and shops. There you can really find many things from basically every single part of the world. On Vinted instead, it's full of French people, because obviously the app was firstly released in France. Since they're French, they're probably paying a bit less, all of these really cool French brands. So for example, the brands that you might find on Vinted for a bit less are Yves Saint Laurent, Dior, and I don't know. Now that we're saying that, as an Italian, I can say that my country has an history of fashion and many cool brands. So let me just say some of the right pronunciation of the brands, because I do not like when people mispronounce our brands. Gucci, not like Gucci, Gucci. Then we have not Versace, but Versace, Versace. At least say Versace, not Versace. Now that we said these really important things, we can go back onto Depop and Vinted. Vinted only has one option, which is to make the buyer pay for the shipping, which has some drawbacks. I've seen that people usually try to ask for a lower price since they have to pay for shipping too, while on Depop there is the option to do free shipping, so people will not really try to ask for a lower price if they know that the shipping is already free. But I'm gonna say that the shipping is free because when the seller chooses for the price that he wants to put the item on, they can actually select a price that includes the shipping. So for example, instead of selling some jeans for like 30 euros and then putting 9 euros for shipping, I will just say 39 with free shipping, which is literally the same thing. But statistically, there is a double chance to buy or to sell on Depop with free shipping than with a shipping that has to be paid by the buyer. Instead, Vinted has a different way to do this shipping thing. So basically, as I already said, the buyer has to pay for the shipping too. So for that reason, people usually like to ask for a lower price, and this can be kind of annoying if you're trying to actually sell the item for that price. And it's kind of difficult to let people understand that the shipping is not free for us as like sellers, because by the way, I sell on both Depop and Vinted, and I will link my usernames and all of that if you want to buy my stuff, I don't know. So this whole shipping and free shipping thing is really important, because on Vinted, for example, I've seen that people are most likely to not want to buy much or to spend much, because they are like, I don't want to buy like 300 t-shirts if I have to pay for that whole shipping. So people will not really want to buy things at a high price on Vinted because they know that they have to pay also for the shipping and that there is not an option for the shipping to be free. Vinted is a bit more for cleaning an inventory, but if you want to make a profit or find some things that are really great selected vintage, you have to go on Depop. Because on there, as I said before, there are like the majority of shops, but you can actually find some really cool stuff at even less. Maybe people that don't really know that the item is really cool and popular and fashionable and all of that. Definitely check on Depop first, because it's really convenient. You do not have to exclude Vinted from the choice, because like there are some people that just want to sell things to clean up the space into their closet. For example, I've just bought 3 jumpers for 20 euros with the shipping included. So it's really cool if there are some people that don't really know what they're doing and they're basically just selling some random stuff, basically new stuff, for such a low price. So let's also talk about the profit, which on Vinted and Depop is a bit different, because Vinted does not take anything from your profit, while Depop takes 10% of your profit. It's kinda annoying when you see that something that could get sold for 30 euros actually got sold for 27, because the 10%, which is 3 euros in that case, was for Depop. I mean, it makes sense because they're obviously offering to you this whole opportunity to sell your clothes and to buy some clothes and to get into this whole slow fashion thing, which is really great. but it's kind of annoying. Vinted does not take anything, but you have to pay for something else, which is the like buying protection thing, so that when you have like some problems with the order, with the seller and all of that, they can do something to protect your order, your money and your case. But I've seen some reviews where they said that they have been ghosted from people and that Vinted did not solve the problem and that they still lost money. So I don't know. Depop obviously has some other policies for when you don't get your item or for when you don't get your money and all of that. They both make sure that nothing goes wrong. So at the end of the day, they basically just work the same way. There are some differences, obviously, but I don't think that there is such a big difference to be told in this video. Also because like it's basically half an hour that I'm filming, so let's just get to the conclusions. In my opinion, Depop is way better than Vinted because you can find more stuff. It has international shops, it has more options, it can have free shipping, and you can actually find some stores, literally some small businesses that decided to go also online on these platforms. Vinted can be a great option if you're trying to find some things for a lower price. It is also great if you don't want to make a profit out of it and you just want to sell things for like €5 and then have the closet free, while on Depop and you're really gonna make a good profit out of it because vintage really goes fast. On both of them you can find both vintage and brand new things, so it's really great. You could download them to see if changing the app you can actually find the same item for a lower price. So yeah, these are basically my conclusions. I think that this video was really useful, but let me know what you think because that is really important. I've actually already recorded this video twice, but it didn't work because the audio was so bad. But anyways, yeah. So give this video a thumbs up and see you in my next video. Bye!